The mashed potatoes sat in the pot, still cold. No one had touched them. A can of cranberry sauce waited on the counter, unopened, like a joke that never got a laugh. The roast she promised to make had not even been started. The quiet was not an accident. Someone built it on purpose. No footsteps. No laugh. No welcome home. Only Kyle was on the couch, heels up on the coffee table I paid for, holding a white envelope like he was ready to announce a prize on a game show. She went to Barbados, he said. He grinned the way a kid grins when he sees his mom flip off Santa right in front of the mall camera. He lifted the letter like it answered every question. You are here to help me pack. I am moving into his lake house next week. Then he added, in a tone like he was doing me a favor, shall we start? That was when it landed. This was not the betrayal. This was the punchline. I set my case down and let the zipper hum longer than needed. Sure, I said. That single word had more bite than a chainsaw, but Kyle did not hear it. Boys like him never do. Entitlement is loud. It drowns out everything else. He went back to his phone, thumbing through a feed. Probably an influencer's bikini post. At this point, I would not have been shocked if it was his mother's post. Let me be clear. I was not surprised. Disappointed? No. That passed 6 months ago when I found the receipt for a $1,200 couples massage gift certificate folded in her gym bag. Her story was that it was a gift for a co-worker's engagement. Right. That co-worker's name was Ryan. She began to come home smelling like his cologne. I did not confront her. Not then. Timing matters more than truth. Before I go on, I want to ask for something. If you have stayed with me this long, and if you have ever been the person who waited, who kept calm, who played the long game, then please follow or subscribe. More than 90% of people listen without subscribing. That small tap keeps the team going, and it keeps stories like this one coming. Thank you. Now back to Kyle. He stretched, cracked his knuckles, like he had just finished something difficult. Mom said you would help with the paperwork, too. New address, insurance, the usual. I said she did, huh? He said, yes. She said you were good at that boring stuff. It always stuck in Ashley's throat, how boring I was. Practical, methodical, reliable Mike. One night at dinner she told another couple, he is the kind of man you trust with your will, not your heart. They laughed. I laughed along. I slept in the guest room for a week. Kyle did not notice me leave the living room. I walked down the back hall to the third garage bay, the one she avoided. She said the smell of oil made her gag. I told her it was sealed for a reason. Antique tools, old camping gear, my late uncle's motorcycles. All of that was true, but not the whole truth. I slid the key from my pocket. The padlock coughed when it opened, a rough metal sound that felt honest. Inside, I found the kind of quiet I chose. Not her kind. A drafting table, a banker's lamp, steel cabinets, one tall fireproof safe with a yellow post it stuck to the door. On the note I had written, if you are here, you are ready. I opened the safe. 5 folders waited. One was labeled prepared. Inside were printouts, financial records, text logs, custodial documents, and a copy of a lease agreement with Kyle's full name on it. Dated yesterday. Notarized. This was never about revenge. Revenge means you are still bleeding. I was not. I had moved into position. People like Ashley rarely crash. They drift, slow and careful, with backups for their backups, and a new lover as a backup for the old one. They forget one thing. Men like me remember. We notice. We prepare. I took a burner phone from a drawer and typed one text. It is time. The garage door hinges groaned like an old man getting out of a chair. Dust rose in lazy swirls off the concrete. The light flicked on and showed a world Ashley refused to see because she could not curate it. There were no throw pillows, no scented candles, no framed quotes about manifesting joy. Only steel drawers, fireproof cases, and a quiet so thick you could chew it. She never opened this garage. Said rubber, and old metal gave her migraines. Truth was, it gave her discomfort. I kept things here she could not control, and that made those things worthless to her. I walked past the covered motorcycle she told the neighbors I never rode because I did not know how to live. Past a row of labeled plastic bins. Past the green duffel bag still zipped from the night I almost left 2 years ago and did not. In the far corner, under an old army blanket, was the project I had worked on since the first time I caught her lying about a Thursday night. A matte black storage cabinet with a strip of masking tape across the front. I had written one word in thick marker, prepared. I opened it. Everything inside felt cold, neat, and deliberate. Tax returns, title transfers, trust declarations. Near the top was a folder labeled Kyle Custodial Trail. His name, centered and clean. 5 years ago, I opened a custodial trust in his name for his future. That was the pitch. She thought it was generous. The truth was simpler. It was leverage. Now it was stage 1. I set the folder on the workbench and flipped through the pages. Every signature in place. Court supervision papers, notarized. Timestamps on every entry. All of it locked down. I picked up the burner phone again. No passcode. One contact in the phone, saved under Signal. I typed 4 letters. It is time. No emoji. No sign-off. No explanation. That is the privilege of preparation. When you build the path in advance, you do not waste breath explaining why you are walking it. I sat for a while and let the hum of the fluorescent light ride down my spine. No rage. No panic. No fake speeches in my head about what I would say if Ashley called, because she would not call. Not yet. She was busy in Barbados, drinking rum cocktails with Ryan, the man who used to be her everything before I became her nothing. What she did not see was the off-ramp I had been building in quiet layers, one document at a time. It was not for me. It was for them. Every manipulator has a soft spot. Hers was the urge to keep all power in one place. She wanted 2 men spinning around her like porch lights draw moths. She wanted Kyle to believe he would always be covered, no matter how little he worked or how fast he burned through money. She loved the theater of control more than control itself. The trouble with theater is that the stage has edges. She never saw mine. The burner buzzed once. Then again. 2 words arrived, reset. I turned the phone off and slid it back into the drawer beside a key fob with a red tag. Unit C, lockage storage. Unit C. Another small thing she never thought to ask about. I had not been there in months, but the bill was paid automatically every quarter from a separate account she could not touch. Inside that locker were backup drives, camera footage, voice recordings, and duplicates of every message where she told me to help Kyle out just this one time. I had 6 years of one time. I leaned back and looked at the folder on the bench. In the corner of the top page, a faint blue stamp showed the notary seal. Same woman who notarized our wedding prenuptial agreement. I understood the irony. This was not revenge. This was correction. This was inheritance redistributed by a man who finally decided to act. I closed the cabinet, turned the key, and stood there until the sound of my own breathing was the only thing left. What I heard was not anger. It was quiet. And inside that quiet was purpose. Tomorrow we would pack. But we would not be packing for the lake house. We would not be packing for any place Ashley imagined. Kyle had a new address now. I chose it. She could not reach it. By the time she woke up to what was happening, her son would be unpacking boxes in a home she had never stepped into. She thought she left me alone for Thanksgiving. Truth was, I had been alone for years. This was only the first holiday where she gave me permission to live like it. The first box I filled with sneakers, none laced. Most still dusty from wherever he wore them to impress strangers. His version of ambition was curated outfits and captioned workouts, all funded by the boring stepfather he refused to see until something broke or needed cash. I had watched Kyle for years. He would sprawl across our couch like it owed him rent, scroll through photos of women he would never approach in real life, and toss around phrases about alpha energy while he refused to pick up a dish towel. Now he folded hooded sweatshirts into a box he did not pay for, with tape I bought, while I pulled his life into order. "Do you want to keep the posters?" I asked, nodding at the framed quote over his bed. "Success is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." He snorted. "No, that is cringe. I am going minimalist." Of course he was. Moving into another man's lake house has a way of making you feel enlightened. We worked without talking. I let the rhythm of sorting and sealing settle him. Simple repetitions. Patterns. People like Kyle stop noticing patterns the second they feel safe. At his nightstand, he found a thin folder. Bank statements. Community college transcripts he never finished. Expired insurance cards. A flimsy business license for a drop shipping idea he quit after 6 days. I reached into my satchel and handed him a white envelope. "Add this to your stack." He cracked the seal and slid out a few pages. "Elise?" he said, skimming. Then he stalled. "Hold on. This is my name. This was signed yesterday, correct? But I have not even seen the place." "You will see it soon," I said. He looked up, face tightening. Suspicion tried to catch up to him. Mom said we were going to the lake house. She said it was cleared. Guest house furnished. Utilities part of the estate. He owed her. Remember? I remember, I said. My voice stayed even. Not cold. But this lease is in your name. Term is 6 months. Utilities prepaid. The location is different. His eyes narrowed. I do not understand. I drove the tape across another box. The sound cracked the air. You will. He opened his mouth, then shut it. Classic Kyle. He gave a short laugh, trying to pull the moment back into his comfort zone. You are doing that United States Navy SEAL discipline thing again, right? All mysterious. I bet you even shaved your head in your 20s. I did not answer. I handed him another empty box. He hesitated, then sat on the edge of the bed. This place, he said. Where is it? How far from the lake? Far enough that no one will mix them up. And I am supposed to live there alone? That is what independence looks like. Or did you believe adulthood comes with butlers? He did not laugh. He kept flipping the lease like the address might change if he stared long enough. You are not angry? He asked. Why would I be angry? Your mother left for a beach trip with her former lover right before the holidays. She left you behind like a half-finished project on a workbench. He wanted to hook me, to make me flare up so he did not have to feel anything himself. I did not bite. I have not bitten in years. I am here to help you move, I said. That landed. He stood up, suddenly uneasy. The smirk from yesterday was gone. His swagger sagged a little, like a tire with a slow leak. When he turned to grab another stack of books, I saw a small tremor in his hand. That was the first hairline crack. No shouting. No tears. Just a shift in balance. The start of an unraveling. For the first time, Kyle began to see the thing most manipulators never learn. When you underestimate a quiet man, the clock starts, and I had already set the alarm. The sun had barely cleared the trees when we pulled into the Department of Motor Vehicles. Kyle was in a fake-it-until-you-make-it mood. Ray-Ban sunglasses, black hooded sweatshirt, freshly steamed. Talking like a man who understood property law because he had watched 2 seasons of a legal drama while hungover. He adjusted the seat, checked himself in the mirror, and gave a little grin. This place will love me, he said. I was here 3 times last year. They practically owe me a loyalty card. I am sure they will roll out the red carpet, I said, and handed him the folder marked vehicle registration. The name on the tab read, Kyle Anders. He popped a stick of gum like he was about to negotiate a merger. 10 minutes. In and out. Assuming everything is in order, I said. He cut me a look. Why would it not be? We will see, I said. Inside, the fluorescent lights did him no favors. He pulled a ticket from the kiosk, then groaned like the world owed him faster service. Ugh. Line 17. The Department of Motor Vehicles always disappoints. When his number flashed, we walked to the counter. The clerk, a woman in her early 50s with thin reading glasses and an expression carved from stone, took the folder and began typing. Address update on the registration? She asked, eyes on the screen. Yes. New address, Kyle said, proud. New start. She nodded and kept typing. Then her fingers slowed. Her forehead creased. What is it? Kyle asked, shifting his weight. She leaned toward the monitor as if the text might change under pressure. Sir, this vehicle was recently transferred, correct? I know. I am only updating the address. It is still my car. She shook her head once. No, it is not that simple. It was transferred into a custodial trust. Kyle blinked. Into a what? A custodial trust, she repeated. Effective 2 days ago. It is held under legal supervision. He tilted his head like she had spoken in code. Look, I own the car. It is mine. I have the keys. He jangled them as if they were proof of title. Sir, possession is not the same as legal ownership, she said, voice cool. You are listed as the custodial beneficiary, not the owner. You cannot update or register this without authorization from the trustee. Kyle turned to me, then back to her. So who owns it? She checked once more. The trust is administered by a third party. Name reads, Michael T. Langston. Kyle faced me fully. Are you serious? It appears so, I said. You put my car in a trust? What? I did not, I said evenly. You did. You signed the intake 5 years ago. You did not read the full terms. He snatched the folder and flipped through the pages like there was a trapdoor hidden in the paper. That was not for this. Mom said that was for college. She said many things, I said. He stepped back, breathing through his nose, pacing a short line behind the rope. All right. I will call her. She will fix it. He stabbed at his phone, lifted it to his ear, and waited. Voicemail. He redialed. Voicemail again. He looked at me, louder now. She always answers. Not today, I said. He shoved the phone into his pocket. His face went red. What is happening? You asked for independence, I said. This is the cost of independence. It is called responsibility. This is control, he snapped. You are screwing me over. If you are old enough to live on your own, you are old enough to manage your assets the right way, I said. This is accountability. That is nonsense, he said. You do not care about me. This is about her. You are punishing her through me. He wanted me to argue. He wanted a target. I gave him silence. He paced in small circles, then stared at the clerk like she might roll the system back if he glared hard enough. Do you want to keep your number? The clerk asked, politely bored. Kyle stormed out. I thanked her, gathered the folder, and stepped into the morning. He was posted against the car, thumbs racing over his screen. Still no answer? I asked. He did not reply. The silence had finally grown louder than his confidence. The bank lobby smelled like stale coffee and printer paper. Kyle walked in with his key fob twirling on one finger, even though the car tied to it was now legally outside his control. He had barely spoken on the drive. A grunt here, a check of the phone there, a few texts, likely to his mother, his thumbs tapping with the rhythm of nerves. Still no response. Still silence. It made him twitchy. This is the branch, right? He asked, stepping ahead of me like he was in charge. It is fine. This will be quick. I just need a new debit card. Maybe link my account to the new address. They always lose my change of address forms. Sure they do, I said. The receptionist looked up with a standard, trained smile. Good morning. Welcome to Elmsworth Credit. Do you have an appointment? We do, I said, and gave her the name, Miss Carnes. She nodded, picked up the phone, and murmured into the receiver. A minute later, a tall woman with silver hair and a perfect suit came through the frosted glass hallway. I had met her years ago at a fund structuring seminar. She wore respect like armor. Calm, polished, always 3 questions ahead. Thomas, she said, warm handshake. It has been a while. Good to see you, Miss Carnes, I said. She turned to Kyle with a practiced smile. And you must be. He stepped in, grin already loaded. Kyle Mendez. That is me. Her smile thinned. Not a total drop, just a change you could feel. Oh, she said flat. Kyle. He gave a weak chuckle. That bad, huh? She did not answer. Right this way. We followed her to a private office with a glass wall and a cherrywood desk. She gestured. We sat. Kyle dropped into the chair like it was a throne. So, he began, before she even took her seat, there is some mix-up with my account. 9482. My card stopped working yesterday. Probably the address thing. I just need a new one. She did not touch the keyboard. She did not look at him first. She opened a drawer, took out a sealed document packet, set it on the desk, and slid it toward him. Mr. Mendez, she said, quiet and even. Account 9482 has been closed. Kyle frowned. Closed? What? I did not close it. You did not have the authority to close it, she said. He blinked. What do you mean? She met his eyes. The warmth was gone. The funds in account 9482 were established under custodial control at the time of opening. You were listed as the minor beneficiary. That status has not changed. The trust moved under court supervision this week. He stared. What does that mean? It means the funds have been frozen, pending legal review. He looked at me like I had reached over and unplugged his oxygen. This is a joke, right? No, Mr. Mendez, she said. It is not. But that is my money. She raised one eyebrow. From what I can see, the deposits were gifted by your stepfather with conditions you did not meet. Kyle turned to me, face reddening. You are doing this. You set this up. I shrugged. Did you ever read the trust agreement? I thought it was for college. It was for college. It was also for financial independence. It was also for a job-matching contribution after you turned 21. You did not go to college. You did not keep a job. You bought cryptocurrency at midnight using a fake business address, and you maxed a debit card on concert tickets. He shot to his feet. The chair scraped across the floor. You cannot just take my money. Legally, he did not. Miss Carnes said, steady as bedrock. The trust executed on its written terms, which you agreed to, and which your mother's attorney reviewed at the time. He tore open the packet. His hands shook. Every page carried his initials, that half-cursive, half-print signature, cocky and sloppy. He looked up at me like a drowning man realizing the tide was not going to drop. I have rent due. It is covered, I said. For 6 months. After that, you figure it out. You want me to be homeless? No. I want you to learn how not to be. He sat down again, slower this time. Softer. No smirk. No gum. Just a 22-year-old whose armor of invincibility had been peeled off, one document at a time. Miss Carnes closed her folder the way you close a lid on something finished. Is there anything else I can assist you with, Mr. Mendez? He did not answer. For the first time in his life, he understood that the money was not his. The safety net had a weight limit, and the man he thought was passive was done waiting for him to grow up. The rental truck rattled over every pothole like it was angry about our cargo. Years of half-finished plans, designer clothes bought on credit, a flat-screen television that weighed more than his resume, and a stack of unopened mail he preferred to ignore. I stacked the boxes with military precision. Kyle added a few grunts, a complaint or two about heavy lifting, and a 10-minute detour to scroll social media stories of people who looked more in control than he felt. He climbed into the passenger seat with the entitlement of a man who expects valet service at a place he never paid for. You ever been to this lake house? He asked as we hit the highway. Once, I said. It is on the water. Nice enough. He nodded like that confirmed a birthright. Mom said there is a studio over the garage. Full kitchen. She said I could turn it into a content space for my video channel. I did not answer. I watched mile markers and exit signs. We had 2 hours in front of us. He spent most of it with his shoe on the dashboard, scrolling through messages, sighing loud, like I was dragging him away from destiny. An hour into the drive, I asked, anything from her yet? He checked his phone. No, she is probably off the grid. Maybe the hotel does not even have a signal. It is Barbados, I said. The signal is fine. He shot me a look. Do you think she is angry about the bank? I think she is starting to see that the house of cards she built is not weatherproof. He stared at the windshield for a while, then muttered, She told me you would try to control me. She also told me you were applying to nursing school, I said. That was 3 years ago. That ended the talking for a bit. The road noise did the rest. About 2 hours in, the global positioning system told me to take the exit. He sat up fast. This is not the route she sent. Where's the lake? Nothing, I said, and made the turn onto a quieter road. The trees grew thicker. The houses got smaller, older, more honest. Kyle checked his map and frowned. This is not right. We are way off. I know, I said. He squinted at me. What do you mean, you know? I did not answer. 10 minutes later, I pulled into a narrow driveway beside a modest duplex. Tin-colored stucco. 1 story. A little square of grass. No lake. No studio. Only reality. He stared out the window like I had taken him to a salvage yard. This is a joke, right? I turned off the engine. No. He looked from the house to me. Where are we? Your new place. He barked a laugh. This is not the lake house. No, I said. Then what is this? This is what independence looks like when you are not ready. He narrowed his eyes. Mom said the lake house was cleared. She said her former boyfriend owed her, and I was part of the payback. She lied, I said. She would not. She did, I said. Often. That lake house was never hers to offer. I spoke to him. He is not even in the country. Kyle shot out of the truck, slammed the door, and stomped to the steps like the porch might collapse if he hit it hard enough. You cannot do this. I did not, I said. You did. Every time you skipped responsibility. Every time you called a handout a favor. He faced me, panic breaking through the pose. I do not have a job. I know, I said. You have 6 months of rent and utilities covered. After that, you will need one. He glanced at the door again, then back at me, hunting for some fine print. There is no wireless internet, is there? There is a library 2 blocks over, I said. You want me to fail. I want you to stop waiting for someone else to carry you. He folded his arms and tried to look defiant, but the weight of the facts was already pulling his shoulders down. You think you are punishing me, but you are not. I will figure it out. I hope you do, I said, and tossed him the keys. For the first time, you will be doing it without someone cleaning up after you. He caught the keys like they might burn his hand. I turned back toward the truck, then paused. You always thought I was quiet because I had nothing to say, I told him. The truth is, I was waiting until it mattered. This is the moment that matters. Kyle stood there with the keys, in front of a place he did not pick, paid for by a man he did not respect, abandoned by the woman who used him like a pawn. For the first time in his life, he understood that no one was coming to save him. The moving truck was already easing out of the drive. When I got back to the house, it was still dark. The same blinking porch lights. The same roast sitting cold in the refrigerator like a frozen metaphor. Her perfume hung in the bathroom, faint and sweet, as if the air was trying to convince me she might walk in and claim it had all been a joke. The bedroom was untouched. No note. No flight details. Just her absence set out like furniture. I did not unpack. I did not take off my shoes. I sat at the kitchen table with the burner phone in my jacket pocket and a mug of cold coffee that had been in the sink since Wednesday. Near midnight, my personal phone lit up with an unknown number and a Barbados country code. I let it ring 3 times, then answered. Thomas. A man's voice. Rough. Anxious. Not hers. I waited. It is Ryan, he said. Her former boyfriend. I said nothing. She is not with me, he rushed on. She was for a few days. Yesterday morning, she left the hotel. No note. Did not even take her bag. No passport. No wallet. Nothing. I let the silence stand. He filled it. I thought maybe she went to cool off, he said. But the staff says she was seen talking to someone outside around 7 in the morning, and then she just vanished. I called her cell. Nothing. I called her sister. Nothing. Then I remembered she said you would be back today, and He trailed off. You thought I would be panicking too? I asked. He exhaled like he had been holding his breath the whole call. Well, yes. I leaned back and the chair creaked. She has done this before, I said. What? Disappear. Reinvent. Start fresh. It is her hobby. She left her passport, he said, like the detail should transfer his urgency into my chest. She will call when she is ready, I said. You do not sound surprised, he said. I am not, I said. He went quiet. I could hear him trying to fit that into the shape of what he knew. You know something, he said slowly. I let that sit. Look, he said. I understand what she did. Leaving you like that. Leaving her son during Thanksgiving. I told her it was cruel. I told her she would regret it. But this is something else. No, Ryan, I said, calm as a closed door. This is exactly what she has always done. But she is gone, Thomas. Gone. Do you not care? Ryan asked. I care, I said. I care enough to let her go without chasing after her this time. He went quiet. Panic simmered in his breath. I should call the police. File a report. You are welcome to, I said. Do you not want to find her? She is not lost, I said. She is finally off the map. You sound like you wanted this, he said, lowering his voice. No, I said. I just stopped getting in the way of it. He exhaled. She always said you were passive. Quiet. Predictable. I smiled. And she built her escape on that story. The silence on his end turned brittle. She will call, I said. She always calls when she realizes the landing pad is gone. I could hear him turning in circles or pacing a small room. You really do not care if she comes back. Oh, I care, Ryan. I just do not need her to. I ended the call and stood in the dark kitchen, listening to the refrigerator hum. The same sound it made during wedding planning. During Kyle's 18th birthday. During the night she told me I was not ambitious enough for the life she wanted. The fridge did not care. The lights did not care. And for the first time in years, neither did I. She left without her bag, but she packed her own consequences. Somewhere out there she was discovering that walking out is easier than outrunning the fallout. The study was the only room that still smelled like me. Cedar shelves, leather-bound books, a sealed jar of pipe tobacco I never smoked, kept as a reminder of stillness. She disliked this room. Too plain, too old world. Not bright enough for her social media posts, which made it the perfect place to leave the final word she would not get to interrupt. I opened the bottom desk drawer and slid out the blue accordion file I had tucked away months ago, back when her lies still arrived with sugar on top, back when she still kissed me goodnight and tried to pass guilt off as affection. The envelope was there, addressed in my handwriting, her full name, first, middle, and maiden. Not the name she married into. The maiden name she said she would never return to because it smelled like failure. The irony made me smile. Inside was everything she chose not to see for 2 years. The paper trail of debts she buried under my credit score. The offshore transfer she hoped I would miss. $18,009.40 to a holding account in small payments. Duplicate health insurance policies billed to both me and her former boyfriend. Her quiet unraveling dressed up as making ends meet. There was also the annulment agreement. Drafted. Signed by me. Notarized. She only needed to countersign. I did not leave a pen. Behind that sat an asset disclosure, 12 pages, filed under her maiden name by a college friend of hers, an attorney I hired 6 months before she booked Barbados. Someone who knows how to make things stick without a show. On top of the stack lay a copy of the custodial trust action letter. Kyle's name was circled in red ink. She once told me paperwork was for people too scared to talk like adults. Turns out adults do not talk. Adults document. I stared at the envelope for a long moment, then reached for a bright yellow sticky note, the same kind she used for passive-aggressive reminders like, "Do not forget to fix the leaky faucet," or, "Please try not to breathe so loudly during my meeting." I wrote 5 words. Kyle is safe. You are free. Under that, smaller, just not in the way you hoped. I sealed the envelope and walked to the foyer. The house held its breath. I put on the same coat I wore the day we first toured this place, when she said the kitchen had manifestation energy, and kissed me like I was her ticket to something. Outside, the air was sharp and clean, the kind that waters your eyes with clarity, not sadness. The mailbox flag creaked when I raised it. I slid the envelope in and let it rest there like a loaded verdict no one would see coming until it arrived. Back inside, I poured a glass of water and stood at the sink. She always believed I was too weak to leave. This was not leaving. This was cutting. Clean. Quiet. Surgical. It was the kind of freedom she never understood. Not the freedom to run, but the freedom to let go, without fanfare and without theater. I returned to the study, turned off the light, and shut the door. The last piece of her illusion, our illusion, was out of my hands and in the mail. Morning leaked through the blinds like it was apologizing for being late. I sat at the kitchen table with a fresh mug of coffee and watched 2 sparrows fight over the feeder she insisted we hang last spring. She used to say, "The birds make the mornings feel alive." I never told her they reminded me of us. Always chirping, never listening. At 9:14 in the morning, my phone rang. The caller identification read a name I had not seen in years, but a voice I would know anywhere. Judith Porter. Law school honors. Top-tier estate planner. My wife's self-proclaimed forever friend since freshman year. They traded spa weekends and borrowed vacation houses the way other people traded recipes. Judith stood at our wedding and toasted us with, "May nothing ever shake what you two have." Now she was calling from the rubble. I answered. Her voice snapped through the speaker like she had already been on 3 calls, and I was the 4th. "Thomas, please tell me you did not file what I think you filed." I took a slow sip of coffee. I did. She exhaled hard, a mix of disbelief and something close to respect. "Jesus. All right, listen. She has been calling me nonstop. Sobbing. Says she lost everything in 48 hours. I did not even know she was in Barbados until this morning." "She was not." "Not really," I said. "She says you locked her out of the accounts, froze Kyle's trust, terminated joint access to the annuity." Judith paused. "And did you really serve an annulment through her maiden name attorney?" "I did." She went quiet, and I could hear keys clicking as she checked filings. "Then you filed the disclosure under Langston versus Reinhardt. She is going to lose the house." "She already left it," I said. "She said it was temporary." "She left it 48 hours ago," I said. "I just made it final." That stopped her. When she spoke again, her tone had shifted from rattled to surgical. "You know she is not stable right now. She says you ambushed her. She says you turned Kyle against her. She says you were planning this behind her back for months. She is not wrong." "Good grief," she whispered, almost admiring. "She had a plan, Judith. She never believed I would have one too. She is scared." "She should be," Judith said. I could almost hear her pacing on marble tile. "From one adult to another," she continued. "This is a landslide. Once the asset freeze hits court review, she is looking at a nightmare." "She created it," I said. "She is your wife." "She was," I said. Another pause. "She will fight this. She will try to use Kyle." "She already did," I said. "She will paint me as the monster. Then I will be the quietest monster she has ever met." Judith let out a long breath. "You are not the man I thought you were." "I never was. You just never looked past the version she narrated." Silence stretched. "Take care of yourself," Thomas, she said at last. She is not going down without a mess. She already left a mess, I said. I am just organizing it. I ended the call. The birds outside had stopped chirping. I poured the rest of the coffee down the sink and smiled. Not from joy, from clarity. For the first time in years, there was no storm coming. The storm had already hit, and I was the one holding the weather report. It was late. That in-between hour when the street is quiet but the sky has not gone dark. I sat in the study again, not reading, not working. A single log burned in the fireplace, more reminder than heat. The knock came. Not a delivery knock. Not a neighbor's knock. 2 quick hits, then silence. I opened the door to find Kyle. Sweat on his forehead. Out of breath like he had sprinted across a finish line no one else could see. Phone in one hand. The other hand empty. No backpack. No coat. No plan. She is crying, he said, eyes wide like that should undo everything. She has been calling me for an hour. She says you ruined her life. I held the door open. He did not step in. I helped her move on, I said. Same way I helped you. He faltered. Whatever speech he had rehearsed fell apart. His hand shook as he held the phone toward me. She wants to talk to you. Please. I did not take it right away. I watched him. This was not about pity or reunion. This was about control. Hers. His. All of it slipping, and both of them grabbing for the last thread. Finally, I took the phone. Her voice flooded the line before I said a word. Please, she sobbed. Please. I did not think you would actually go through with it. Not all of it. Not like this. I said nothing. I thought you would get angry, shut down, wait for me to come home like always. I thought you would just be there until I figured it out. I let her keep talking. I did not mean to hurt you, she said. I just needed to feel something again. I needed to remember who I was. I closed my eyes. I was going to come back, she whispered. I just needed space. You always gave me space. More silence. Then I spoke, soft, like the last line of a book she never finished. You did not think I would ever stop waiting for you to choose me. She caught on a breath. Thomas, please. We can fix this. Just do not hang up. But I already had. I handed the phone back to Kyle. He stood there, quiet. He did not argue. She lied to both of us, I said. But only one of us expected it. He looked down, emptied out. She will land on her feet, I added. People like her always do. She will just never stand in the same place again. That part is finished. Kyle nodded. He turned and walked down the driveway. The night swallowed him by degrees. I closed the door. No slam. No fury. Only a final click. Back in the study, the fire was down to soft, orange coals. They glowed the way I felt. Not burned. Not broken.